that moment where we are slacking and we are lazy, we then be so hard on ourselves because we tell ourselves, "Well, I've been doing so good." And okay, well, you have been doing good, but sometimes, setting back a little bit is a way to get back to it. Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. My name is Angel.
And my name is Tyler.
And happy new year. We're getting into the new year. It's been the first week. And I want you guys to let me know, like, how has it been for you guys? How has the first week? I know sometimes we can really be hard on ourselves, right? But you guys are here to learn, to grow, and move away from the past, because that doesn't matter right now, right? Because we want to live in the moment. And in this moment, we're going to be talking about discipline, right? Getting into the new year with discipline, because that's the biggest thing. That's how we create habits. That's how we work on our strengths. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we move forward. And that's how we just have a healthier health style.
And that's how we also manage to keep promises, not only to ourselves, but to others.
Exactly. Because if you can't be able to keep the promises to yourself, then how are you going to be able to keep a promise that you say to others, right? How are they going to trust you if you can't keep it for yourself? So you got to be disciplined based on what you say. Say what you mean what you say. And that's why we're going to be talking about it. We got 5 key things.
The 5-finger discount again? I can't get enough. Let's keep
Um,
going.
All you need is your right-hand man, and your right-hand man. You got 5 fingers, and we're going to take it one step at a time, right? So let's get right into it. Before, I just want to actually say, we get into it. Make sure you follow us on The Rally Cries on Instagram,
Nice.
right? We changed it. It's not podcast anymore because we're more than just a podcast. We got a lot planned. So we're The Rally Cry. So it's The Rally Cry with an S. And you can follow us on there. Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast platform, whatever that is. And also
Spotify.
let us, whatever you want. Make sure you follow us there, and also comment and like. It definitely lets us know what we're doing, and just give us some good feedback if it's good or bad. It's just, what is it that you want us to work on, or what does you want us to talk about? Really up to you guys, right? And so we'll really appreciate that, to be honest. So yeah, let's get into number 1.
Uno.
Knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. That's the biggest thing. A lot of times we try to work on just our strengths, which is ideal, right? Okay. Going on further, you got to know, what are your weaknesses? What are you not so good at? And when you understand what you're not so good at, you're able to be more reflective. You're able to understand that, okay, I know that I'm not good at this. What can I do from here? Can I do some research? Can I do more practice on this thing, whatever it is, right? We could use a couple of examples, like going to the gym, or I'm not really a morning person, but I would like to be a morning person. So there's my weakness. I'm not good at going to bed late because X, Y, and Z. Maybe there's too many things in a day where time just goes by fast, right? And that's okay, because now you're aware of it. Self-awareness is the first step for you to even become disciplined, because you can't be disciplined on anything if you're not even aware of it first, right? Because if you don't give your time to look at yourself and think about what are you doing that can be wrong to you, then how are you going to get better from there?
I think that when it comes to strength and weaknesses, I also believe that not only does it come with acknowledging, because with awareness, we have so many conversations with ourselves that we just get caught up, and we're like, we're learning more about ourselves, and we're only increasing the curiosity. But then at the same time, it makes me think that we ignore the weaknesses more than we should. And those are some things like where they're like fleeting thoughts. We have these conversations and we forget about some of the things that we even bring up, or even the things that we try to promise ourselves. So along with bringing awareness, I'll ask you this, Angel, would you say um when it comes to trying to better our weaknesses, is it better to go with a plan, or is it better to just go into it and learn as you go?
I think that it's okay to have a plan, although it's also important just to go right into it. I
Mm,
want to give a shout out to um, June Archer at an event I was at yesterday from New Year Better Us. Shout out to them. It was a great event. And June Archer, he was saying how, you know, do it dirty and clean it up later. You know what I mean? So it's more of saying, you just gotta show up for yourself. And even if it's all messy and it's not the best, you can always clean it up later. You can always make it up better, refine it better, tidy up. Like is for example, right? Every time when you get dressed, right? You could get dressed and you have a nice fit on, but then you have to do the minor adjustments. So you're all
Hmm.
messy, your hair's all messy, but then after you got your nice fit together, you fix yourself up and whatever it is you got to do, you fix your hair and now you're cleaned up. So now it's always having the plan. I had the plan of putting this on. Now it came out messy, but then I refined it later.
So I like how you put that because then it means it kind of puts you in a perspective where it's a little bit of both. And then also just understanding that you're content with the outcome regardless, and you'll learn as you go. And I think my answer is kind of the same. I think I would say more with just going with the flow, because as I said before, as long as we take that first step, good or bad, who knows? It's just the idea of saying that I got to be here. I showed up and I made it count. And shout out to June Archer too. Like that was a great quote. Like I'm gonna have to put that in my piggy bank for later, because that's, I mean, it's almost the same thing as like somebody saying fake it till you make it. Or even when we try to make a good first impression, we're not putting on a fake persona, not recommending that. But also the idea of we want to show our best quality traits before somebody like that does get close to us and may figure out we actually have a speech impediment, or we actually don't like the food that they like. We just wanted to get along, and so we could make this process of building a friendship or relationship a lot faster. So definitely something that like I like, it's something, it's working hard, but then the ugly things, you don't pay much mind to it, because at the end of the day, nothing's going to be perfect and nothing is going to be spot on right away. It may seem like destiny at first, but I think the beauty of the result at the end of the hard work is what's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's always about having balance between the things that you do, having the goal that you're looking for, but not having too much expectation. I expect myself to get to this goal, but I shouldn't have too much of a high expectation on how it should go. Right.
Mm.
There's so many pathways of going somewhere, and I need to be more open that okay, I can go this way, and that way. So you have that goal, but there's so many ways of getting there. So that
And,
leads into
ooh, I was gonna say the
what Tyler
same.
was about to say.
Yeah, because like going into number two, we want to change our perspective about willpower.
There you
And
go.
as Angel's mentioning that, he said I could go this way, I go that way, I go this, and he's naming all these things. Yeah, he may know all that, but is he also open to learning more? Because we can't always act like we know it all, and when we do, we tend to have the uh a persona as if like we're snobby, we're arrogant because, oh, I'm this great because I know all of this. But that doesn't make you better than anybody, and it doesn't even make you better than yourself, because yourself has yet to be complete. So if acting ignorant to all this new knowledge is going to make you better as a person, you're very harshly wrong.
Yeah, I agree. It reminds me to one of the episodes that you've mentioned where ignorance is bliss, because
Mm,
at a point we may think that we know it all, but when we think we know it all, we'll end up in a wake up call because
mm,
it'll hit us in the face. Like there's a Mike Tyson quote, and it says, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." It's almost with a fight, right? If I have my strengths. These are the things that I'm knowledgeable in, and I'm going for a couple hits, I'm doing a couple jabs, but until I get hit in the face, I'm like, oh, I thought I had a plan, but that plan obviously didn't work out. Now I need to step back a little bit and think about what I did wrong. So as the reference that you use in a fight, you can still use it as far as what you're trying to be disciplined on. And it could be the smallest things. These things that we're talking about can be used for the littlest things. If it's waking up early in the morning, if you want to meditate, if you want to, start an entrepreneurial business, right? Whatever it is, whatever that you want to tackle on, everybody's different. But these are things that you have to have in perspective for yourself so that you can grow and then you can understand and be open to, these are different ways that I can do these things. And when you give yourself this narrative, you're more eager to hear more and just be more aware of what's in front of you, because when you give yourself the perspective that, oh, I know everything, then you think that it's enough. And honestly, there's no such thing as enough knowledge. There's so much things to
mm.
learn.
Angel, I love that because it makes me think about how entertainment is laid out. And what I mean by that is we have TV everywhere. Like there's not
Mhm.
a plasma television that you're gonna see it around every corner and in every household, right?
Yep.
How often do people read books, right? And magazines don't count. They got pictures and they got little sub articles that is formally is it's basically concisely expressing what the report is. But reading a book puts you in perspective where you have to pay attention to the details, and that's an art that's almost becoming lost now because when you can be aware of like all the details and be able to let your mind create so many vivid imageries within the from the book that you're reading, then it allows you to be like, I could accept this, embrace it, and now look at the knowledge I'm getting because my mind is doing so many things at once right now, and I'm just getting it from a book. So I love how being able to learn new things can come into the smallest activities. So even if it's not waking up, trying to meditate before you go to work, or reading a book, or maybe even writing in your journal, just being able to take that time to let yourself process and maybe even be one with whatever is your habitat to nature.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And that's why I think too, when we're learning so many things, it comes to a point where, oh, I've learned all these things. And when we try to implement it into our lifestyle for whatever it is, and that moment where we are slacking and we are lazy, we then be so hard on ourselves because we tell ourselves, "Well, I've been doing so good." And okay, well, you have been doing good, but sometimes, setting back a little bit is a way to get back to it. And I think that you need to be able to forgive yourself, which is number 3. Forgive and move forward. When
Mm,
you're able to forgive yourself for the things that you weren't so good at, you can then, live more in the moment. That's what forgiveness is about. To be here and be, you know what I did a couple minutes ago, hours, days, months, years, I can see how it went that way, and now I understand more. The only way we ever are able to get to where we want to be is when we find out where we don't want to be,
mm.
because it's all about the sense of balance, right? The good is in the bad, and the bad is in the good. Yin and yang, as we already know. By the way, Tyler has a tattoo that is the yin and yang.
Oh wait, hold on. I might have to show it off. You
Yeah, go ahead, do that real quick.
gotta do it.
If you're
Well,
watching us on
show and
YouTube.
tell. I hope everybody's watching on YouTube so you could witness this magnificence.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
Oh my god.
sun and moon, yin and yang.
Oh my
And by the
god.
way, Latin quote from the anime Tokyo Ghoul. Shout out my anime fans. I
There
can
you
no
go.
longer live with you nor without you. So like, I mean, come on, like that's just pretty. But besides that, like I also think finding balance for yourself is also being able to accept yourself. Cause like something that we shared if you follow the IG page, you have to trust yourself to be honest with yourself. And in order to do that, like that's embracing like all the ugly things about yourself. And when you could love that, and also there are things that you could work on and things that if they could be worked on, um, it makes you realize that we were led wrong at first into thinking that we need to pressure ourselves to be this person or to become this person that everybody can accept because not everybody's going to accept you for who you are, and that's okay. But what matters at the end of the day is that you accept you, and when you accept you, that means everybody else around you is most likely going to accept you because they gravitate towards you.
There you go.
And it's so beautiful when that works because I think there's like an identity shift when after we get out of high school and just trying to figure out who we are. And that's why we pressure ourselves because we want to go to college because that's normally the goal. When really everybody's path is laid out different. And being able to find out who you are, whether it's at 23 or maybe even 33, is just the idea that when you figure that out, you feel at peace, you feel perfect because you know no matter what, good or bad, who knows?
Yeah. And I think after, coming out of high school, right? And I can even say for myself personally, becoming disciplined is such a hard thing to do. It's not something that happens overnight, and it could take someone a years depending on what they want to be disciplined on, because you could be disciplined in one thing but not so many other things, right?
Hmm.
So as a person, what do you got to do? Number 4, you have to create healthy habits and habituals.
Mm.
And there's a difference from habits and habituals, right? Habituals is like routines, and habits is just things that you do. Habits are naturally things that you do without really thinking about it. You just do it because you know you got to do it or you get to do it. Every day you have a chance to make a difference, right? And what you did yesterday. Good quote I've said before. Someone's yesterday is yours today, and yours today is someone else's tomorrow. If you can't be a good example, then be a horrible warning, right? Whatever it is, choose what you're
Ooh.
going to do for yourself, right? And if anything, you warned yourself that what you did before wasn't something that made you feel good about it. So, okay, now what are you going to do about it now? Right now is about, okay, I know what I would like to do so that I can be this person, right? If I want to create my uh character, I need to have healthy habits. So, changing habits is something where you have to be holding yourself accountable, and they don't have to be the biggest thing, right? You don't have to do something significant. I started by changing my habits by making my bed in the morning, right? And studies show that people that make their bed are more likely to become millionaires. And
Ooh.
that was a very interesting,
Cha-ching.
right? That was a very interesting study. And it's not to say that I make my bed and then I open my mailbox, I'm gonna have 100 million. It's the fact that when you want to be successful, you have to do successful habits, things that will prepare you to get there, right? So if I'm gonna cook something, I need to have certain ingredients for me to have a healthy, tasteful meal. I can't
Mhm.
just open my pan or my pot and then I just be like, voila, I got a nice, good, healthy meal. I have to have certain ingredients, and these ingredients are habits that you give yourself to prepare yourself into this healthy character and this person that you would like to be.
Oh man, like I could relate to that so much because I remember a year and a half ago, like before like getting into the gym seriously, I had a very bad habit of like just going straight into it and not stretching. And like I was always sore
Mm.
or muscles would like take a little bit longer than they were supposed to at least like recover and stuff. And up until I said, okay, like I need to stretch, I want to be more flexible, I want to be able to get more bouncier and faster, but like my muscles need to be flexible as well, along with being tight. So I got into the habit of always running on the treadmill, a mile, maybe 2 miles, depending on how I'm feeling. And then I'll get into stretching immediately just because now I'm warmed up, I'm limbered up, and it's gonna be a lot easier for me to stretch rather than stretching immediately. Because I think there's a process to it. So like I don't mean to confuse anybody when I said just jump into stretching and then go do your workout or play your sport, but like go for a run or like warm up however it is that you like to do, and then stretch because now your muscles are ready to like really be stretched out because you could end up hurting yourself just by stretching, and that's actually a thing. So, uh, being able to create a healthy habit like that made me realize every process needs an initiation. So you got the initiation fee before you get into the actual thing that you're going to. So think of it like that. If you know you got to pay that ticket just to get into the club, pay that ticket. But at least for yourself, get your ingredients so you can cook. So that way you ain't gotta have the food waiting on you just because you got to go get more ingredients. The food doesn't want to wait on you; it wants to be cooked. So uh, doing the right thing first is going to help us and reward ourselves and also appreciate ourselves when we come home and we're like, man, that bed looks good, or man, my house is clean. Like, who doesn't love coming to a clean house, or who doesn't love when something's already done and now you feel like you have so much more extra time on your hands, where now you get to reward yourself with being a little bit more laid back and actually enjoying something that you like to do.
Yeah, and that's when, when you're able to see the work that you put in, you see how you get feedback to yourself. The input that you put in, you get the output eventually. And so when you see the proof that you did all this disciplinary actions, you feel confident because it's like, oh, I really did that. I kept my promise. I made sure that I said I was going to do this, and I did. And it takes time for that. And I also wanted to backtrack from what you said earlier, how would you want to just go with the flow? It's kind of just telling yourself that when you do go with the flow and still having a goal, of course,
Mhm.
you kind of start seeing certain things that you can do better for yourself. You start seeing that, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing these habits. Now you start being creative because your creativity comes with you being able to think. And using the example you was having for stretching and warming up and then stretch, right? for me, I used to go straight into stretching too. And not to say that it's bad if you do that, but it's a lot more efficient if you do warm up and then you stretch because, you know, our muscles are like Laffy Taffy. If it's warm, it stretches. But if it's really cold, you already know it'll snap, and that's how you could hurt yourself. So that's just a good example. So definitely go with the flow and just be easy on yourself.
Mm. Yeah, like and I think like one thing that I could say like is a lot more forgiving too, since forgiveness is a part of this as well. It's a process, a lovely, beautiful, natural process. And a part of that process is being able to sit back and not only forgive yourself, but also take the time to replenish the energy that it took to get there. And with that comes with atomic habits. And let's say there's times where you said you wanted to go to the gym and life happens. And you're looking at the time and you're like, man, I don't got time to go to the gym. Now, how do you improvise that? How do you make up for that rather than beating yourself up? You can do calisthenics. You can go for maybe a walk around your neighborhood because it doesn't hurt to walk for 10, 15 minutes, let's say to even clear your mind because you're frustrated. But also at the same time, with those atomic habits, doing those small things, there's never any room for much error to begin with because there's always going to be a time, a space, and an area to provide that energy for or to provide that energy with. So then that way, I showed up, I tried. I know that next time, which is tomorrow, or maybe the next week, you're gonna do a lot better. You know that life is gonna hit you, and you're gonna have another way to work around it. And then let's say the next day, life hits you harder, and then you can't work around it. It's just the idea that we're still gonna be learning, and then learning new ways, new areas that we could create for ourselves.
Absolutely. And that leads into number 5, our very last one. With everything that we mentioned, they all really simultaneously work together. Sometimes it's kind of still hard to do it ourselves, and that's why it's always good to find mentors and coaches. I really had the fortunate of having a couple mentors, and I would say my biggest one that I'm around a lot is my instructor for Taekwondo.
Mm.
Shout out to instructor Murdad over at Massachusetts Taekwondo Academy,
Woo!
because he's just a great disciplined man. He has goals, he has values, he has a structure, he has a way of organizing certain things, and then having that kind of influence and having this example makes me look at myself. I'm like, okay, I see how
Mm.
he does it, and I could reference how I want to use it for my lifestyle. It doesn't have to be exactly how he does it, but from his attitude towards things changes my attitudes. And I say this all the time. It first starts with attitude. And then after attitude, it changes behavior. And your behavior will change your habits. And then your habits change your character. And then your character changes your fate, your destiny, your journey. And it makes it a lot more fulfilling, a lot more wholesome because you're whole with yourself and
Mm.
some. And I really think that having mentors is so needed in everything because we can't do it ourselves, and some of us are not fortunate to have a good family, or having mom and dad in the picture. Me, I don't know my dad. All I had was grandma and mom, and I'm grateful for that. And being able to forgive of what I don't have is important, and that's why I think all these um 5 tips of being disciplined is so important, and they all work together because that's how you're going to grow. And I
Mm.
think that when we can be more open to these things that we've mentioned here, I think that's what's going to make you grow as a person.
And I love that Angel has Murdad because being able to have a male figure that has so much character, but then also has this life of these experiences throughout their lives that they could now bestow onto to me and others, it just makes it so beautiful because makes me think about how I had Gene and he was my therapeutic mentor when I was younger. And Gene, like he was like basically a father figure to me because my dad wasn't in the picture at that time. And I was grateful to have the family that I have, although it wasn't the family that I see on TV or maybe even other people may have. But Gene, for me, he was like that father figure and also somebody that held me accountable and that made me the person I am today. Like the reason why I talk the way I do or why I may have certain interests is because of him. And I can always be grateful for that. And also, I think being having that father like aspect come from him as well made me realize man, like I would love to, like if I could be a dad like that, like hey, like who wouldn't want a dad like that? And I think lacking that male figure in our lives or anybody else's life, it just goes to show how big of an impact a respectful role model that a male can be.
Yeah, man. And I'm grateful for it. And that's why, guys, I hope that you guys got something from this. Share it with your friend, someone in your family, just someone that really needs to hear this because, we're really trying to grow together and learn together and just be this community, the rally cry, right? We're doing this to work on a bigger purpose and work on purpose. We'll live on purpose too. And
Hmm.
if there's anything that you liked in this episode, please make sure you give us a likey and also comment on what are your thoughts. What are you gonna do this year to be more disciplined? What is something you're trying to be disciplined on? And just know that it takes time, energy, and effort, and you got to be consistent even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, and guys, don't be afraid. Once again, I said it before, don't be afraid to open up that journal and write, draw, do whatever you got to do. I could say even break down what does those expectations look like for you. So if you want to lose 100 pounds, if you want to get a ripped body, or if you want to learn a new sport, write down what visually or mentally, like what does that look like, and what would your days look like doing that, and trying to input that into your schedule, because we're gonna have to find a way. There's only so much time that we have. Don't waste time. Yesterday you didn't do it. That's cool. Start now. That's what matters. Just go ahead, take that first step now.
There you go. I love that. Yeah, guys. So until next time, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys so much. All the support. We're growing and we're never going to digress and we're always going to progress. So
Mm,
until next time, make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast platform. You can follow us
Spotify.
at The Rally Cries on Instagram. And until next time, make sure that you take one step at a.
Time and one
There you
day at a
go.
time, guys. We love you
Thank
guys.
you. Peace.